Welcome to Films and Stuff with your hosts, Pete Mitchell and Ethan Hunt.
Welcome back, everyone, to Films and Stuff podcast. I'm Ethan. I'm here with Pete. Hey, Pete.
How's it going?
Everything is better than great because we have been waiting. Finally, episode 8 of season 3 of The Mandalorian dropped. We have watched it. It's time for us to review the entire season 3 and give our thoughts and impressions to our listeners and each other.
So why don't you kick off? Tell me, what did you think of the finale? What did you think of the season overall? Where are you standing on this?
So I watched episodes 7 and 8 together, and I did it intentionally because...
Good choice, yeah.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting, after a season that generally was a little bit slow, not boring, but it was a little bit, let's say, deliberate in pace. I was expecting that 7 and 8 were just going to drop a whole lot of action and reveals and things like that. So I wanted to watch them together. I just wanted to have, basically like 2 hours or 90 minutes of continuity and just watch them back to back and see how it went. And I think that was a really good decision. And in retrospect, I thought that both of those episodes were fantastic. And if you're assessing the season in episodes 1 to 6, you'd say, yeah, that was pretty enjoyable. That was good. And if you're assessing the season after 7 and 8, you're like, that was fantastic. I love The Mandalorian. Can't wait for season 4. I need more, right?
Oh, interesting. Okay.
We'll probably talk about this at a later standalone episode, but I feel like after 4 seasons of The Mandalorian has really worked himself into the core of the Star Wars universe. He's a really beloved character now. And I think the transformation we've seen from him when we were first introduced to him kind of as in, season 1, episode 1, where he was just a bounty hunter. Now we see this at the very end where he adopts Grogu. He is making decisions in terms of, taking less risk, putting, obviously the youngling ahead of himself in terms of well-being. It's actually quite a journey for him. And I guess it's not like a redemptive arc, but it's interesting to kind of see him evolve as a person and be more than just kind of like a bounty hunter that has his like sole identity, right?
I would definitely agree. And just as a side note, I mean, if it's not clear already, spoiler alert.
Oh yeah, I should have said that.
But
too late.
No, but that's fine. That's on brand for us. At least we remembered this time.
True.
Yeah,
and the Mandalorians, I think, in general, have taken a much more prominent role, right? I mean, when we first saw this show, 3 years ago, the Mandalorians were lore, and we weren't introduced to, really any other characters. And now we know several of them by name.
So I take that point, and I will add a little bit of flavor to it. I agree with you for your average Star Wars fan, but for people who are a little bit more in tune with the canon stories, we got to see a lot more of Mandalore and Mandalorians in the Clone Wars TV show.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, there's a lot in there. So actually you see Bo-Katan's sister or mother. I can't, it's been so long I can't remember, but Satine Kryze is in there. There's a lot of lore that comes out more in the cartoons, especially in Clone Wars and also in Rebels. So which is why I caveat what you say, which is I think your average Star Wars viewer, I would agree with you. But I think for those who are a little bit more in depth or in tune, there have been other shows where we got to see a lot more of the pre-destruction of Mandalore life there.
Is it consistent though?
Yeah.
Is the Mandalorian consistent with like Bad Batch and all the others?
So generally speaking, from what I understand, yes. And I think,
Okay.
as much whether we like the shows or not, I think the one thing we can say Lucasfilms and then now Disney is they're very careful about their lore and their consistency on said lore.
Hmm.
So in general, whether you like the shows or not, I think they take relatively good care. Now, I know that some people will say, yeah, but if you look at the movies, they were a travesty, blah, blah, blah. I'm not talking about quality, but I am talking about the actual lore. I think they give it a lot more respect than people think they do.
Are Filoni and who's the other, Jon Favreau, involved in Bad Batch and Clone Wars?
I'm not sure. I'm almost certain they'll be executive producers,
Yeah.
but I'm not 100% sure. Oh, speaking of which, now that you mention him, did you catch the Filoni cameo in the episode 8 ending?
I did not. Where was he?
He was in the bar at the very end, where they pick up IG-88's head.
Yeah. No, I had no idea.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was Filoni. I could be wrong, but I'm like almost 95% positive that was him.
That's cool.
Okay, so I think that look, overall, I still think this season is a must subscribe. I think this is an excellent show, but I think I was less enthusiastic about the series, especially after episode 8 than you were.
Why?
I don't know. Look, there's a couple of small things, and I've actually, when I say a couple, I mean I've taken a few pages of notes here.
This is so Pete. Just a few things off the top of my head, flipping through pages of pencil and eraser marks.
Yeah. So I think you're absolutely right. Most of the season has been a bit slow and deliberate in its pacing, for good or for bad. I personally think it's good. I like learning the lore of Star Wars. I like that shows like this have the confidence to have an entire episode based on following Dr. Pershing, and we learn about what the New Republic is doing with all the Imperial equipment. I find all that kind of stuff so fascinating. And, like what people's mentality is on Coruscant and Alderaan and all those places. I think that's wonderful. So for me, I liked that, even though it was slow. What I think happened in episode 7 I thought was fine, but I thought 8 is where things started to go a little off the rails because it moved so fast. It was very action heavy, which is fine. I like good action because when The Mandalorian pulls off good action, it's fantastic. But it was so action heavy and it moved so fast that I don't know if they fully thought through some of the things they could have done. Let me give you one of my criticisms before we get to all of that. But one of the criticisms was this was a very CGI heavy sequence, especially when you have the Mandalorians flying down against the upgraded stormtroopers.
You know what? I have a few comments here, if you don't mind me interjecting.
Please,
the
please.
first thing I thought of when I saw this was because Disney also has Marvel. This reminded me of a scene from maybe Iron Man 2.
Iron Man 3, when he had all the different Iron Man suits coming in. That's exactly right.
I mean, I was kind of like,
100%.
Someone did like a copy and paste here, and they basically just kind of repurposed that scene. And my second issue, because I love breaking this stuff down with you, I thought that these jetpacks, and we saw like a scene a few episodes ago where they were chasing like this eagle that grabbed one of their kids.
Pteranodon or pterodactyl or whatever. Yeah.
The jetpacks had like limited fuel. They're not like jet engines that have unlimited fuel. And in this episode 8, we saw them flying around like legitimately for a huge sequence. And then the second guy flew into space.
Yeah.
So that undermines my understanding of what the limitations of the jetpacks were, because very clearly they put in that one episode, the guy's like, hey, I'm out of fuel. And he only flew after a bird for like, I don't know how far, right?
Yeah.
I'm a little bit for me, that was
Yeah,
not
there was
what
definitely
I,
a big question mark there.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then, like, some of the things were so cool, like when Bo-Katan kind of lands and flies off the bridge, but does a quick turn and then fires the missiles from her knees.
Yeah.
That's cool on paper, but man, it looked really not great on screen. Like, I don't know if they didn't do the CGI right, but it just seemed really off.
Well, they just kind of added some things that we haven't seen, right? I mean, we should have had a pretty good sense of like armor and capabilities, right? We even saw like a training montage like several episodes ago. We're on the beach kind of training.
Yeah.
I agree. Like there were kind of like some new things here that
So we saw a little bit of that from the Book of Boba Fett because he also uses them. But
Mm,
all those are all the little minor niggles that I have, right? But I think the biggest problems I had was I get that these are upgraded stormtroopers. They're not the robots that we saw in season 2, right? These aren't the dark troopers that we saw in season 2. These are human beings. Yet they all seemed so hyper proficient with their new Beskar suits and their jetpacks. I mean, they seem to match the Mandalorians, if not surpass them. And the one thing is that the Mandalorians, even though they're a broken people, they are a formidable force, even on their own. And they seemed so equally or overmatched. And I think I would have preferred a couple of things. I would have preferred if maybe some of the people weren't so proficient with the equipment, one, or two, that for every 10 stormtroopers, they had one or two in the Beskar outfits. Because I also think that Beskar is something that very few people know how to craft. So all of a sudden now they have like an entire army's worth or a battalion's worth of people wearing Beskar. I don't know. It just kind of made it less valuable to me. The only ones who are supposed to wield Beskar are Mandalorians. And even within the Mandalorians, it's really like one or two people. So I was a bit disappointed to see that, but that's fine. And the reason is because I just thought that they felt either so overpowered or, and maybe this is just me, but it somehow felt that Mando was underpowered. Moff Gideon isn't exactly a young, spry dude. And he
I mean,
was
yeah.
on par / beating up not just Mando Din, but also Bo-Katan. And that felt really wrong for me because he seems more like one of these officer types. He doesn't seem like a brawler type. I thought what would have been really cool, what if he had to release the clones early and it was like a small clone army of Moff Gideons fighting Bo-Katan and Din Djarin.
Yeah. I'm going to take your overarching point and say this about episode 8. I agree with you. I like the granularity. I like the
Yeah.
granularity in Andor. I like the granularity in Mandalorian. It's really what I want. I'm not really looking for action. I'm looking for information, context, and details. I thought actually the season was very good up to 6. I thought 7 was excellent. 8, I felt just reverted to, it escalated too quickly.
Yeah.
Your point about the Moff Gideon battle is not wrong. I don't disagree with it, but for me, it wasn't the problem with the blow by blow details of that battle. It was the fact that why did it need to, 2 episodes ago, he didn't even exist. We hadn't even
Yes.
seen him. Why did we have to go from
Fantastic
not
point.
existing to a hologram, and now he's in black Beskar with a purple saber, which was cool, by the way.
And what, all of a sudden also they have an Imperial base on Mandalore? Has that always been there?
I agree. Why not make that the recurring theme for season 4? I just felt that there was
Yes.
no reason to jam all of that into the season finale. Yes, it's fun for a season finale. We all get excited. We get, our blood pressure goes up and blah, blah, blah. But there was no reason that they needed all of that fireworks in the last episode. That should have been drawn out over a number of episodes, and all your points are correct. The jetpacks are too much. The stormtroopers are too much. Moff Gideon was too much. And the base, I mean, with all the TIE fighters, come on. I mean, Din was just there like a while ago. I mean, all of this was too much. I just felt that it was a lot of stuff jammed together, a little bit like a magic trick. Don't look behind the curtain.
Yeah.
Just focus on, the action and be happy.
Look at that
It
shiny armor. Yeah.
Counterintuitive to what I'm watching this show for. I'm
Yeah.
not here for a 2-hour cinema ending. I'm not here for John Wick. I'm here for the granularity. And they undermined a lot of that because they're usually so good at explaining how we got here. And here they just plop this base and Beskar and all this other stuff like in our laps. It didn't sit well with me in that way. I still liked it, but I wish they would not have done it that way.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think it's also imperative that we make that point crystal clear to our listeners. Yeah. Look, the season was still excellent. It is still a must subscribe. I think that the point of this criticism is that when you've spent 6 episodes being so careful, and forget about just these 6, the 12 episodes of Andor before and the 12 episodes that are to come, when you are so confident that you can take a few episodes to not even feature the Mandalorian in them, why all of a sudden are we getting a Michael Bay action sequence in that final episode? Instead, and this would have been, I didn't even think of it this way. I think this would have been perfect though. What you said is absolutely right. Spin off the Bo-Katan series and have her duke it out with Moff Gideon and make that a longer campaign, which is filled with action. It's filled with strategy. It's filled with lore. And just like we got anyway, let Din Djarin, the Mandalorian, go off with Grogu, do his own adventuring, and come back as a cameo in the Bo-Katan series. I think that would have been fantastic. I think that would have been great. I don't know. It's just, look, these are the small niggles that we're saying because we think that this could have been much better. There were a couple of loose plot threads that they left so ham-fistedly open. The spy, the Imperial spy, who's like a double agent, she never comes up again this season. So she's probably going to play a stronger role in the next season, but she never came up, which I thought was a bit of a kick in the teeth. The Mythosaur, we see Grogu connect with him. Man, can you imagine? All things were lost. Moff Gideon is now wielding the Darksaber, which, by the way, we'll get to that as well. But it looks like everyone is down and out. And then all of a sudden, Grogu comes storming out from underneath, riding the Mythosaur. And the Mythosaur lays waste to the entire Imperial army. Oh, my God. I think that would have been much better. And speaking of the Darksaber.
Oh, can we just say what a pathetic end to such a... It just looked like a kitchen knife. It was like...
It was the MacGuffin the entirety of season 2. It was the unifying artifact of season 3. And then at the end of it, they kind of pulled a Ryan Johnson on us and they destroyed it in a heartbeat, right? He just destroys it single-handedly.
Just like kind of
crushes it.
Literally single-handedly. He just kind of like grabs her hand, squeezes it real tight, and then it like falls into like this like mangled piece of aluminum.
And, I don't know how durable these things are meant to be, but like lightsabers are supposed to be like the most legendary of weapons, right? I mean, for God's sakes, Luke's lightsaber fell from Bespin and we see it in episode 2 and we get it back in episode 7. How is that possible? That this thing falls from Cloud City and it's fine. And then Gideon is able to crush the Darksaber. I don't know. I thought that was a real slap in the face.
I was really disappointed. I thought what was going to kind of happen, I don't know if I formulated this at the time, but then after I just saw that thing on the ground, like a soda can, I thought like they were going to fight and she was going to drop it and it would be kicked over the edge. And it was just going to be like this thing that was now missing. And maybe people were going to try to go after it like in future episodes, but like no one was going to have it. I didn't think it was just going to be like smashed. I thought that was really anticlimactic ending to the whole thing, you know?
They could have rectified that so easily by having the last scene or one of the last scenes, you know, when they do that epilogue series where they're showing different people doing different things. Yeah. How cool would it have been if you see Bo-Katan and the armor working together to repair the Darksaber?
Yeah. Yeah.
It would have been such a simple thing, but it was so monumental. I mean, you don't get to tell us for 2 seasons that this thing is going to be the artifact that basically reunites the Mandalorians, and then literally have it crushed like a soda can, like you rightfully said. It's not. I just felt so by it. I didn't like. Honestly, that was probably my least favorite thing about this episode.
You know, it would have been. I'm thinking back, but that weapon was so symbolic. It should have been crushed like in heroic way. Like, for example, I don't know what this big guy is with the machine gun who sacrificed himself, which I thought was a very beautiful scene. It would have been different if, like, okay, this has to be reworked, but like Bo-Katan takes the Darksaber and like puts it under like the blast door to like pry it open, and then they all like dive under it and escape before like the blast door like crushes it or something. Like, it should have been used for like a heroic purpose and then destroyed, or it should have been kicked down the cliff or something. But just to have it like crushed by a hand, I thought was just like
so unceremonious in how it went.
I guess the implication is Moff Gideon's hand is now made of Beskar.
Yeah.
So it's so strong, but the Darksaber is not made of Beskar. Like, come on, it doesn't make any sense, right?
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I just, there's so many things they could have done instead.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just find that it's a bit weird. Look, at the same time, I'm also glad that they didn't use that as an excuse, as a lame ass excuse to kind of stop moving forward. But at the same time, it's just like, oh my God, you could have done so much more with it.
I agree. Like, if it's going to be destroyed, I think it should have been destroyed in a heroic way. You know, it should have been used to pry open a door, or
the mythosaur steps on something.
Yes. Yeah.
Anything. My God, the mythosaur eats it accidentally because, you know, I don't know when he, there could have been so many different ways to do that. I don't know. I just think that I was just annoyed by that, honestly. My takeaway from episode 8 is that, look, next season of The Mandalorian or Bo-Katan's first season, whatever it's going to be, every Mandalorian better be armed to the teeth and covered head to toe in Beskar. If Moff Gideon can do that in a matter of weeks on Mandalore, then the armor should be able to do that as well.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know.
Do you believe Moff Gideon is actually dead?
No, I also don't think he's actually dead.
Yeah. I mean, he's got the Beskar suit. He's probably somehow protected under this pile of rubble, right?
Yeah, they did the cutaway just as the fire was engulfing him which, by the way, was a very cool scene to see the destroyer go down. I thought that was pretty epic. But if they really wanted to show that if he were dead, they would have showed his body. They would have done something. They wouldn't have just let it be. Yeah. I don't know. I was a bit annoyed. I was a bit irritated by that. But anyway, let's talk about the good. So again.
Oh, can I ask one question?
Yeah.
Where is Boba Fett?
That's a fantastic question. One that I didn't even think of until you just asked me that. Why wasn't he involved in this somehow?
Has Disney just said, look, obviously no one wants to see Boba Fett. Let's just pretend that guy doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, but I mean, like,
how is Boba Fett not in that? I mean, that would have been the perfect time to bring him back and to even give like I don't know if they're ever going to have another season of Boba Fett, but that would have been a great option to like give him a little bit of a springboard, right?
How amazing would it have been if you don't want to talk about the mythosaur, no problem. Imagine if he had come in with the Rancor.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, how epic would it have been that it was 1-on-1 Bo-Katan versus Gideon. Yeah. Then it became 2-on-1 and Gideon was still powerful, overly powerful, which I still don't get, by the way, but I was like, fine. How epic would it have been if all of a sudden Boba Fett in all his armored glory comes riding in on that Rancor to save the day. And that could have then set up an interesting dynamic for the leader of Mandalore in the next season.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Anyway, look, we forgot to mention the Praetorian Guard, not a fan.
Oh, really? Not a fan of how they were used, or not a fan of them generally?
How they were used. I think they look cool as heck. I mean, the last time we saw them was The Last Jedi, but not happy with how they were used. With all due respect.
Yeah, walk me through it. Tell me.
3 Praetorian Guards who could take on Kylo Ren and Rey weren't able to chase down Grogu, who's doing flips on a light fixture? Come on.
Yes. So I thought, the use of Grogu, I thought was actually quite exceptional. And the idea to put him in, is it DS11 or DS12? Am I getting that?
IG-12 or
IG-12.
Yeah.
I thought that was not only humorous, but that was quite brilliant. And I was okay with all of that. But then I thought it was really disappointing how kind of cartoonish it got.
Yes.
Where they're just kind of chasing him and he was just kind of like flipping from thing to thing to thing. I liked how he used his force capabilities to kind of like push the lightsabers. I was really worried that they were going to have him have this like aha moment and he was going to become like Yoda and he was going to be like manipulating people all over the place. And I was worried that was going to be like too much too fast. So I'm happy they didn't do that. I thought they used his powers right. But I thought that it was too extended how he was just kind of like hopping and flipping around.
Yes.
If they would have cut that and instead had, Mando come and save him, that would have been a little bit better.
The dynamics of that duel were excellent, right? Where Mando's actually landing the blows, but where he's not able to save himself, Grogu was his support. I thought that worked fantastically.
Yeah.
And it was a good complement of their powers, right? Because we haven't seen Grogu do anything offensive with his powers except for force push.
Yes. He can just keep things away. Yeah.
Exactly. I thought that worked incredibly well. Yeah. And I expect to see more of that in the next season. Like I expect now that we've seen him not hold his own, but at least add value in a fight scene, I expect to see a lot more of that.
Oh, when you say that about the Praetorian Guard, I don't know why we're not employed by Disney, because what I kind of think should have happened is that, Gideon was being kind of like beaten down, and then the Praetorian Guard kind of like came to his defense. Those 3 occupied Mando and Bo-Katan, and then Gideon kind of like made his getaway, like severely damaged or injured or something, right? Like, those 3 kind of stepped in just to like save him. But I agree. They looked cool as hell. Like visually stunning. But the idea that there's 3 of them and Moff Gideon against Bo-Katan and Mando, it seems like definitely they should have won that fight, right?
Yeah.
Like the Empire should have won that fight.
That's absolutely.
That's 4 on 2. So I think our general consensus is that great season up until including 7. 8 got a little bit heavy on CGI and accelerated action, and it definitely could have been teased out into the next season. There's no reason to escalate that so quickly in season finale.
They made the victory a bit too definitive. I think it would have been better if they had a small victory where they're able to successfully take back some parts of Mandalore and start building up civilization. But we see that the Imperials still have a presence there, and that, the next couple of seasons, or the next season at least, is going to be about a war of attrition back and forth between the 2.
Yeah.
I mean, I liked that about episode, I guess it was 6, maybe it was 7, I can't remember. They're obviously teasing the Ahsoka series with the return of Admiral Thrawn.
Yeah.
Admiral Thrawn, I'm very excited by. He was a main antagonist in the Rebels. He was also, I think he had a cameo role in the Clone Wars, but I can't remember. I'm super, super, super excited for Ahsoka based on that.
Are you?
Yeah, Thrawn is basically, I don't know, because obviously I don't know what the lore is going to be going forward, but I'm pretty sure that it's because of Thrawn that the First Order gets created.
Huh. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's going to happen. I don't actually know, but I'm super excited for that.
Did you like the scene, though, where Gideon is kind of like having his small council meeting?
Yeah.
Admiral Hux is there, right?
Or his father, right? I don't think it was
Is that
actually
his father?
Hux. I think it was his father setting it up for the movies.
Oh. Maybe that's right. Yeah.
I thought that was fine. Again, I think that scene in particular was really all about setting up Ahsoka, but it's also good because it gave us a little bit of the insight on how the Imperials are working now that the Imperials aren't a thing anymore, right? And how limited their resources are, where they now have to vote on whether they can send the resources they need to whoever they need to send it to.
Yeah. So what do we say? We say must subscribe for Mandalorian. We're still a little bit confused where Boba Fett fits into all of this, right?
Yeah, or maybe, you're absolutely right, and they decide that they just kind of want to skirt the issue by not talking about him at all.
That's so disappointing, though, because before The Mandalorian, Boba Fett was the lowercase Mandalorian that we all knew, right? I mean, he was the one who was in, 4, 5, and 6, and who was so instrumental into understanding what a bounty hunter was, right? He was even in, was it 2 or 3, right? With the clones.
Django,
that's Django, right? So, I mean, he was so instrumental to putting the Mandalorians on a map. It's really frustrating that they mucked up his series. And it's so frustrating that we don't see him at all in The Mandalorian, even adjacently, since The Mandalorian appeared in Boba Fett, right? So we know they're not entirely different universes.
And they know each other, right? Like they've worked with each other, they're colleagues, they're friends, or allies at the very least, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you don't want to bring him back for it? Fine, bring Fennec Shand in, right? She was kick-ass too.
Oh, Fennec was amazing, yeah.
Why wouldn't you have her come in and help out?
Yikes. Okay. When is the next Star Wars series coming out? What's the next thing? Is it going to be?
I think it's Ahsoka. And I think it's in May.
I can't wait. I not so much for Ahsoka, which I know you're excited for, but I can't wait for another Star Wars series. Should we announce to our listeners what our next episode is going to be about?
Oh, yeah, we definitely should.
Yeah. This was our season-ending review of The Mandalorian. And the next episode we record and will be dropping is going to go through what Pete and I believe are the most influential and important characters from the Star Wars universe. We're each going to put our top 10 list and a few wild cards. I mean, in recent years, the universe has expanded so much that I think there's a few new additions to, the original cinematic history that we're aware of, and new movies coming out. And now obviously, Disney Plus is releasing a lot of series and introducing some new people and new stories that we've never been, deeply familiar with. So we're going to release our list of the most influential and consequential Star Wars characters.
Yeah, absolutely.
So stay tuned for that. If you're a Star Wars fan, you don't want to miss it. We are bound to ruffle numerous feathers, right?
I agree. All right. Until then, thank you very much. If you guys have any feelings on Mandalorian Season 3, did you like it as much as we did? Were you equally disappointed, or maybe more disappointed, or maybe less disappointed in the series, or at least in episode 8 overall? Let us know. Reach out to us. You can tweet at us at F&S Podcast, DM us on Instagram at Films and Stuff Podcast, email us aloha@filmsandstuffpodcast.com, or simply like and leave a comment below this video.
We'll look forward to hearing from you. Pete, we'll see you on the next episode of Films and Stuff.
Thanks, Ethan.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Films and Stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded. Films and Stuff. There is no substitute.